the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We call upon our spirit guides, angels, ascended masters, light beings, and galactic guides. We call on our ancestors, nature spirits, and animal guides. We invite in Archangel Michael, Naisinga, and Hanuman, as well as the energy of Phi and the spider, to weave a web of sacred geometry around our space for protection. We call upon Ganesh to open the path, and we call upon Thoth to open the gates to the akashic records so that we may download knowledge and wisdom. Spirit guides, as we sit here tonight, we ask to be connected to the energy of the 1212 portal and the energy of the winter solstice. We ask that you allow us to see, hear, and feel any messages for the collective and also personally, that we are connected to this energy of the light coming back in, and anything else you would like us to know in this moment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, the sacred circle is now open. Namaste.
Spirit is showing me very large rectangular blocks that are laid down, and are maybe several feet wide, and between them, where the kind of dirt or grout would be, is a bunch of like green moss growing. And it almost looks like it maybe was once a road that's starting to kind of get growth over it. And it just rained, so the moss and the rocks are very slippery. And then there's an area that kind of like, so it is a road, but I feel like it's the end of the road, and it comes to this sort of beginnings of what looks like a whole series of steps going up, but they're very sort of narrow, low steps. And at the bottom of the steps, right at the end of the road, is this sort of spiral symbol, that there's one spiral and then it goes into another spiral. I've seen this symbol before. It's similar to one of the Reiki symbols, but it isn't exactly it. And this is sort of like laid out with like among the rocks, and there's moss, and it just looks like it's been there for a very long time. And I'm seeing a tiny little white fuzzy caterpillar crawling across it. And that's all for now. I'm going to kind of get my bearings here and see what this is about.
I'm feeling this in this pressure on my third eye, and it's moving over my left eye and almost like taking over my left eye. And I'm like kind of like feeling it move from my third eye, my left eye, going around that down into like my nasal cavity. That's all for now.
as you were talking, I could see on the spiral, it's as if from the center of the spiral, it unfolded was a very skinny, long white snake. And I could kind of see it as much as I could. It's as if the spiral was also your third eye when you were talking, and I could see it coming out and going over your eye. And its head, I saw like the rest of the body of the snake heading down towards your ear. So if there's a sense of something unfolding. That's all for now.
As soon as I finished the opening, I was seeing like the seven dwarfs, and I could see them all in a line, kind of marching, and the one in the front had an axe. But it was really interesting though, because I was seeing the seven dwarves, but the song that I heard was the Wizard of Oz, like we're off to see the wizard, you know. So that was confusing. But then I think I heard it first, like a record kind of screeching. And then I saw a record player, and I saw someone pick up little thing that goes down on the record. And when I saw who it was the witch from Snow White. And she's just looking at me devilishly. And she's picking up that little, I forget what it's called, but the little thing from the record player that plays the record. And I feel like I'm going to keep sitting with this and see what she wants to tell me. But I feel like there's something about the record and jumping timelines somehow. So yeah, that's all for now. I'm gonna sit with it.
I'm still feeling this energy, like it does feel like it's coming out of my third eye, over my eye, around my head. I'm even feeling something in like the center, the center of my throat. Um, it almost feels like it's piercing the center of my throat, and then I'm feeling like this opening, um, almost like a flower. Uh, what is it? The sunflowers, whatever those flowers are that like they open to the sun. Wherever the sun is, they open to the sun, because I'm kind of feeling like one portion of my head wants to like almost like tilt and like reach out. A portion of my head wants to reach out towards, it's almost like this magnetism. But I'm definitely feeling like some intense energy in my throat. Like I said, it's more so like just like in the center of my throat. Just, I don't even know how to describe it. There is a little bit of discomfort that I'm feeling with it as far as the throat sensations. And I'm getting those kind of like those high frequency, staticky kind of like feelings or sounds in my environment as well. That's all for now.
I'm seeing a very large room. It kind of looks to me like a almost like a loft space or something like that in a very industrial building. Um, and on one wall, there's cubbies that go from the floor to ceiling filled with vinyls, like old records. And there's a whole row of different types of record players. And they kind of look like maybe they go in something that might resemble like a chronological order. So some of the like ones in the beginning almost aren't really necessarily a record player the way we would conceive them today, because they have the big things that come out. I don't know if they're called Vitrolas or what, and then they go into things that look like the record players we would see now, and then but each one of them is like has almost like its own pedestal that it's on, but they're connected by this sort of like whole long series of tables. And I'm getting the feeling of going through all of the different records. And it almost feels like this is like a version of like the Akashic records, but that they're on records. And then when you take them out and put them on the record player, it's almost like there's a feeling of dropping the record onto the record player and it being like a magnet, like it gets pulled down on it. And I'm almost feeling the feeling in my hands and my body and my face, and of when you try to put two magnets together, how they pull toward each other. But then I'll feel that, then I feel the opposite where you try to put the wrong end of the magnets together. And I'm feeling that like all in my, especially across my face, by my nose and my mouth. It's very interesting sensation. And I'm hearing something that sounds vaguely like static with scratchy record sounds. Like it's as if like everything that's stored now, the way we would think about the Akashic records, this isn't in books, it's in records, and they all have sounds. And now it sounds like a sound of a music box, or like the hum of like, you know, people talking in a restaurant where you just hear people talking but you don't know what they're saying. The sound of a door opening, and there's just like a whole bunch of really random sounds on this record. And it feels like they're kind of the sounds of like all the sounds that make up like the things that we hear. And when you have to move the lever over to drop it down on the record to play, again, it feels like putting a magnet down. And I'm getting the message that allowing ourselves to be pulled where we need to go, and to listen and to hear also what we must hear. And there's a message about hearing connected to this somehow. And my right ear feels like I have an earache in it. And oddly, like I feel like I have wax in there or something. um, like I had this strange urge to clean wax out of my ear. This is an interesting shamanic experience here. um, and as I say that, I feel like I see something that looks like a doctor's room and a chair, and I feel like I'm seeing myself sitting on this chair, like kind of reclined back with my face tilted and my ear up. Um, and I feel like the message to listen, that there's hearing and there's listening, and I like somehow they're not quite exactly the same thing. So I'm just gonna kind of sit with this and feel it a little more deeply, but that's all for now.
As you were talking about wanting to clean out your ear, I had literally just got done. I had that same urge in my left ear, and I actually did dig in my ear. I dug in my ear probably like 30 seconds before you even said it. And I was picking up on like this energy, almost like there was this magnet, because that's what I've been feeling, like just this pulling sensation. It's been mainly all this left side. And I got this visual of like the old school that old school toy where it's like the pen, and then it comes with like different shapes, and the pen is attached to the board, but it all has like, it uses like magnetism to like draw, and all when you go close to it, all the like blackness comes towards whatever that piece is, and then you can like erase it, but it doesn't require like pen or paper or anything. It's just whatever, all those little bits of shard magnet, whatever it is. I don't know what's in the board, but that's kind of like what was coming up for me. But I could literally see like something moving across my well, energetically, that is, moving back and forth across me while I was feeling like this pulling sensation on my face, on the left side of my head, my ears, and it's whatever this is, it's still doing work on, I want to say, either side of my oh, my Adam's apple, or whatever that part is, the larynx. Either side of it, I'm feeling like just this it's almost like this digging, and there's this just slight pinching that's going on at the same time. um that's all for now.
When you describe that toy, is it the kind of thing where you can draw the face over it, right? Where you move the magnetic thing with the faces, but I could really feel that. And as you're talking, I saw in the chair that I'm sitting in, you know, when you go to the dentist, they have that really bright light that the dentist will move closer so you can like see in your mouth. I saw that come down as you were talking, and I felt like it was blinding me. And then all of a sudden, it's as if I was staring into the sun, and I could see a sunrise come up, and I could just see the big ball of the sun. Um, and just I felt this sort of like warmth wash over me but it definitely is like a magnetic warmth, um, even too. That's all for now.
I think the toy is called a magna doodle. I think that's what it's called. It's an old school toy.
Yeah, totally.
I I felt some pressure in my forehead in the beginning, and then it moved down to my stomach, and it was like it was a hole in my stomach. And then I felt nauseous, and then I felt that I was outside in the woods with the moon, full moon, but it was covered by some clouds, so it looked like gray. And then I felt really, really cold. So I actually had to get up and get a blanket. And now I just came back, and the place where I was sitting, it's burning. It's like now my left arm is touching that side where I was sitting, and it's had like if it's on fire. So my left arm is really, really hot now because it's touching where I was sitting. So I don't know. That's all for now.
I've been sitting here for a moment with the record player and the witch, and I'm not getting anything else from spirit about that scene except for it feels like like she pulled that little device up off the record, so the record wasn't playing anymore, but that also leaves room for it to be put down. And spirit's not showing me who is putting it down, but I feel like the message is like, one, there are infinite possibilities on that record of where we can go in time and space. And I feel like almost like we choose the timeline by placing the device back on the record so that timeline will play. Um, sorry. Something else that I was seeing is I was hearing water and seeing water going down a drain. And then all of a sudden, I was seeing this shower in a bathroom, and there was a woman inside, and she was very scared. And it was like one of those showers with a glass door. And she pushed open the glass door and she fell to the floor. And I could see this man, this like shadowy man behind her. And I feel like spirit is speaking here about fear, especially fear with the patriarchy, and how it's suppressed and literally pushed women to the floor, and somehow like disrupted the flow of water, which is feminine. But I'm feeling, yeah, like they're speaking a lot about fear right now. And also the throat, because I felt like she was scared of drowning somehow in the shower. And I can see her like grabbing her neck. And yeah, that's all for now.
As you were talking, Jacqueline, and going through sharing the shower thing, I could see in the shower. I also feel like there's something stuck in my throat too. It kind of itches, but I can see the shower drain, and I can see the sort of water, like I have like a close up of the drain, and the water's going in a spiral pattern. It's like it goes out a little bit before it gets closer and goes down the drain. And as it goes down the drain, I both seeing and feeling this sort of like whooshing, sort of like whirlpool water type of energy. And then I can hear like the drops of the water. And it almost like it sounds like it's playing some sort of like melody or something like that, but it's like drip drop, like it's like a sort of almost like experimental music sort of like sound or something like that. Um, and even though this is happening in the drain, it also feels like it's happening in our throats, like our throats are somehow a drain of some sort. And that as we say things and as we record things and then as we hear and listen and speak and share, um, it's both a drain, like a drainage system that's allowing us to release stuff, but it's also like some kind of microphone system too. It's almost like you can hear that scratchy kind of sound that you get if you're too close to a microphone or a phone. Um, and even though everything's draining down through the drain and draining down through the throat, um, something that you were saying about water about the flow being interrupted, of like how we have to drain away this sort of like collective clog or something like that. And even though we're talking about water, it has to do with sound and vibrations as well. That's all for now.
While Jacqueline was talking, I started to feel the base of my skull do this vibration, and from that point up until now, I've been seeing energy clear, and this energy is going up through like the crown chakra, and it's being pulled up and outward. Some is being pulled out, but also some of the energy is going straight up through the crown chakra. The vibration that I felt was actually quite soothing. And it almost came up around the areas of where like your lymph nodes would be, up around the ear and the throat and all that. Um, I'm just sensing like this clearing going on. And I'm starting to have more third eye sensations as well. So I'm gonna feel into this. That's all for now.
I feel like I can feel a lot of energy in my sinuses. Um, I get sinus infections a lot, and I can feel that energy like in the forehead and the nose. And then I can also get the feeling, it started with the feeling of being in the shower, but then the sound of the water hitting the tub. And that took me to feeling like I was on this lake in winter and everything's frozen and I can hear the ice cracking. Um, and there's a feeling like the ice is cracking, gonna crack this winter. It doesn't feel like a bad thing. It feels almost like the feeling sometimes when you wake up and you're stiff and uh you stretch. It feels like relieving and everything. That's all for now.
When Jacqueline was talking about the woman in the shower, I saw that it was me in the shower, but I didn't see from the inside to the outside. I saw like if I was an spectator and I saw myself in the shower and I was falling down and the door was opening and I was hitting my left side. And then I felt like it was me. That's all for now.
I'm feeling energies passing from the left to the right that are it started out feeling heavy and it passed across my left to the right of my upper being, upper body, and then they're dancing. The energies are like dancing from heavy, from dense to light, dense to light. Then I felt a floating sensation, and I see dark, dark blue that's shifting in shape and then sparkling. Sparkles coming out from the center and dancing around the image of the blue. And then I feel when I felt the floating, then I felt like a gravitational pull to the earth. I'm still floating, but I feel this gravitation, almost like magnetic. That's all for me.
As you were sharing about that, sense of movement and shifting and sparkling, I just felt this like kind of warmth move sort of across the front of my body around where my stomach is, and it just kind of like was, and it was moving back and forth as if the feeling of it kind of weaving in and out. And there's just a lot of like softness and warmth and like kind of a shift in the energy. And as I see that, I'm aware of something that looks like the things you can put in your drain, except this looks like the thing I have in my bathroom sink. I'm not in a shower anymore. And it meant to collect all the things that fall in your sink. And I can see this sort of like knot of like just hair and fuzz and lint and all the sorts of weird things that can wind up in there. But I also see it looks like paint, like liquid paint is caught up in there, and there's like blue paint and yellow paint. And they're mixing together, but they're not forming like green or anything. They're still saying blue and yellow, and they're kind of mixing in there. And I can see like a hand sort of clear the stuff out and then run water through it. And it runs clean. And then also the silver mesh on it was looking really dirty. And now it looks like someone just scrubbed it with like bleach or, something. And it's looking really clean, and it kind of is getting put back in. And there's a feeling of spirit I feel reminded to clean out like quote unquote my lid trap, whatever, like that we have to like clear the gunk and the energy out. It feels like it's a reminder to make sure that we're like allowing ourselves to flow. And in many ways that allowing ourselves to flow is also allowing like the water to flow. Like, cause like we're mostly water, and it's weird. All of a sudden I feel really like bloated. And I mean, I did just get my period today, so there's that feeling of bloat, but I feel really, really bloated. and it's all around my stomach and my womb and everything, and I'm feeling as if like I'm feeling where in my body I feel like I need to be flushed. um and even though there's a much increased sense of lightness to the situation, I feel like I'm just being called to kind of focus on that area right now for myself. But that's all for now.
I saw this piece of cloth being torn down the middle, and then I saw like this boy. He gave me Peter Pan vibes for whatever reason. But I saw this kind of like teenager boy holding like this green sphere of energy, and he flew flew away with this green, like he's taking it somewhere, this green sphere of energy that he was holding like in his left hand under his arm, almost like a football. That's all for now.
I was going to share that I felt like a hole in my stomach, and first it was pain, then it felt like a hole, and I saw myself with a hole in all my body that you could see through, like if there was a circle that you could put your hand through it. And then it turned, everything around me turned orange, bright orange. And then that eh, that feeling moved to my right knee, and now it's in the back of my spinal cord. It's in the base of my spinal cord, and I feel it right there. It's like pushing. That's where it is now. That's all for now.
As you were talking and sharing, I could see that hole, and it's as if there was this like white ball of light, and it exploded a bunch of like yellow and light, and it felt again like the sun exploded, but then I could feel it along the back of your body. When it exploded, it made something that looked like when you used to go to the fair and they had the spin art, and it's all like in yellow, and it feels like a whole bunch of energy was just like released that had been sort of there, and it created this like beautiful abstract spin art painting or something like that. And it just feels like there's such a timing of releasing things right now, like physical release from our bodies, that is to really like feel into like where in our bodies we need to kind of like drain. 'Cause I'm also seeing the spirit show me, it looks like when my mom used to like make like big dinners, sometimes like a turkey dinner, when she'd always have that like grease from when she was cooking, all the grease she drained out of stuff, and she'd put it in this bowl next to the stove with a paper towel so she could like get rid of it later because she didn't want to pour it down the drain. And I'm seeing something like that, and I'm feeling like there's a feeling of that having been drained out of my body, but also like everyone's also experiencing the same thing. The grease looks like yellow, and you can see the kind of like oil floating in it, and it's also like we're releasing light and connecting with light as we release, but we're also getting rid of all the like oily gunk. And I feel like it's saying there's something being said about it, like sitting like next to the stove being collected like that. Like I feel like spirit's saying like like if you pour it down the drain, the grease, it's gonna clog your drain. So like it's saying, I feel like I'm not getting what it's saying about how we have to release it and just treat it the way it needs to be treated or something. Maybe I'm trying to interpret too much, and but like it's not being, even though it's being released and collected, it's not being completely gotten rid of right away, I guess is what spirit's showing me. And maybe that's the integration piece that they're talking about, but okay, it needs to cool down before it goes somewhere, and it needs to like congeal, and then it's okay to put it in a garbage or wherever it needs to go. And interestingly enough, now I hear the sound of a hairdryer. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, that's all for now.
One random thing that I want to say, Dana, about the hair dryer is like, so well, Dana knows, but for the rest of you, I had like thankfully it's better now, but I had this ear problem where I had water stuck in my ear for like, I kid you not, for like 2 years. It's a long story, but Dana, when you said like the hair dryer, it reminds me of like people telling me to take a hair dryer to my ear to dry out the water so it unclogs the ear. I don't know why that's relevant, but seems to fit with the earwax thing and unclogging the ear somehow. That's all for now.
I'm feeling really called right now to go to take a shower and just to let it like wash away, wash over any areas of my body where it feels like something needs to go. Like I don't know why it feels like it's going to be very healing and releasing somehow. So I almost feel like so many of us had some part of our body that was talking to us tonight, and it feels um like the energy almost feels like it's like out of the body a little bit, but like it's like clinging to like the energy around our body. And there's something about the water and the heat of the shower and the sound of the water that's going to really help with it. And I can almost hear the sound of the water vibrating. I don't know if anyone's ever heard crystal singing bowls, or like one time when I was in New Orleans, I saw this guy playing on the streets. He had really just like glasses of water, and he would run his finger, and then I don't know what tool he had. It was like a wooden stick type of thing across the top of them, and it was creating this like really lovely vibrating sound. And I can hear something like that, and I guess it's just like the water and the heat and the energy, and almost like the feeling of like salt or something being scrubbed against it. Like I feel like there's going to be some form of release connected to this, and it feels really important to be really mindful I'm feeling called to be really mindful the next time I'm in the shower about helping to sort of facilitate this kind of release, to make sure that the energy doesn't go back in, but that it goes away, that it like gets returned to source and the light of the sun to be like clear and cleansed and like transferred. So it doesn't come back into our bodies, or some of it doesn't come back into our bodies. That's all for now.
I'm feeling like my ears, well, it's mainly been my left side. It's always my left side. Um, my ear is being like cleaned with a Q-tip, like that tickly feeling. And then this whole time I've been feeling like, and I have singing bowls, the crystal singing bowls. And when you were talking, the word that came up for me was resonance. When you try to have the like two bowls make like there's like, even though they're different tones, when you play them at the same time, they begin to resonate with one another. And even with that, they can also give off like that humming sound. And that's kind of like what I've been feeling at the base of my skull after all this stuff has kind of like this energy's been cleared. It's like this resonance that's happening in the back of my head. Almost like when you listen to what they call like the earth's hertz. I forgot what they're called, like the earth's tone. Just that long humming, like that hum, like do it. But that's kind of what I am like, really just feeling this soothing vibration, and it feels really good, and it feels really calming. Um, Almost like when you tap a glass and it just does that. It does that like a little soft for now, but that's what I'm feeling.
I
Everything.
felt
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I the pain in the base of my spinal cord, it made me think that I couldn't walk, and then I started to smell really intense, like vanilla, like if somebody's making some cupcakes of vanilla, and I smell it really strong. And when I was going to share, now I'm smelling like pine. It smells like if I'm in the woods surrounded by pines. That's all for now.
I was gonna say, just really quickly about before, you were trying to find the words of what it's called with the Earth's vibration. I think it's the Schumann resonance. That's all for now.
When you were sharing about smelling the pine and being in the forest, is I could see like massive, massive pine trees, like the kind of redwoods, like even though they're not pine trees, but like the redwood in California. And I could see like how like big they were compared to a person. And I could just feel the feeling of you standing in the middle of this grove of trees, and that it was circular. And again, with the same kind of moss that I saw in the beginning of the journey was there. And spirit giving you, I saw them gift you a basket. And it was like a wooden basket, and it was a very rustic sort of like basket, not the like a handmade old basket, and there was some sort of like flannel, white, checkered flannel. And at first I thought it was yellow, then it looked red. So I feel like all of the colors are like going into the flannel. And it was saying it was a place to collect things in the forest. And I felt like there was mushrooms and pine needles, and that the spirit was like asking you could collect different things from the forest as a sort of I don't know. I don't know for what, but it was just giving you this basket to collect all the things that you would need as things that were gifted, to help heal, and but they were gifting you all the different healing things from the forest. And I can see red mushrooms with little white dots on them most clearly. It feels like a really peaceful, beautiful, magical spot. And I also do feel like there's a lot of elemental, like fairy energy there, and like woodland creatures. I'm seeing a chipmunk come forward for you. It feels like I don't know, a really sacred space. That's all for now.
As you were sharing, I'm crying now because I went to a place like that when I was like 7 years old, and the mushrooms are so big. I have pictures. It's like they are like the size, like when you were guys were talking like a record. They are like the size of that, and they are red with white spots. And we will just look in them, look at the forest full of mushrooms like that, and it was magical. And we went with my dad, my mom, and my sister. I'm just crying because I went back to my childhood. That's all for now.
Well, that's really beautiful, and I can feel the magic of this place. And I also, it also feels like this place is like that maybe not that place, but the idea of a place like this feels really like connected to like your soul, or connected to your higher. It feels like a magical cosmic kind of place for you, and it feels like it's someplace you could journey to and go to connect with spirits, to connect with guides, to connect with parts of yourself. It feels kind of um like your sacred space somehow. And and I can hear this sort of tinkering bell-like sound. It almost sounds like laughter, but it sounds like bells. And if you've ever felt connected to connect with fairy or fae or other elemental energy of the forest and the air, I feel like they're there for you too. And that they watch over you. And yeah, it's really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just saw someone carrying an armful of firewood and dropping it down in front of me. It was like more like natural, just a bunch of different sticks and branches and things like that. I couldn't see the person's face, but they just came and just had their arms were just full of all these different. I won't even say fire, but maybe it was, but yeah, all these different sticks and branches and things. That's all for now.
I'm feeling a lot of like calmness and peacefulness right now. A sense of stillness, like, but night stillness. But I'm also like feeling very aware of um like the real world again and the table and the room, and I was wondering if anyone had anything else to share, or anything they wanted to say before we close the journey for the evening.
Yes, Dana, at the same time that you were just speaking, I was hearing stillness as I was experiencing this really gentle, soothing vibration that and I heard stillness and I felt sweetness. Just felt so good. That's all for me.
I think feeling sweetness is a really good way to describe it. I can totally get that. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and close. Thank you, Spirit. We are eternally grateful and deeply thankful for all the beings who joined us tonight. Thank you for the wisdom and knowledge you shared, the guidance you provided, and the gifts that you gave us. We ask for your continued guidance in the coming days and weeks as we work to integrate the messages delivered for further awareness and healing. Help us to release any energy that is not of our highest and greatest good to carry as we shed what no longer serves us. Thank you for the messages of resonance, of the feelings of gravitational pull, and the messages about water and draining and releasing, and just allowing ourselves to feel what's in our body and to release it and to be pulled more deeply and magnetically towards higher, more aligned versions of ourselves. We call again on the sacred light of Source to replenish us with the eternal love of Source. May the great divine white light of love shine down into us and flow freely through us. And may this love fill our days and inform all of our decisions. In this, we honor the divine feminine and divine masculine, the great eternal cycle of balance and growth that is the flow of the universe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With this, the sacred circle is now closed. Namaste.